what are your goals?
Yeah.
And what do you get when you get there? Because if your goals are just like, I want to reach this many, I want to get to 50,000 followers. I want to get to 100,000 followers. Like on Instagram, it used to be like, I want to get to 10,000 followers so I could get the swipe up. Well, now everybody can put links in their videos. And if you put links in your stories, Instagram won't show them to people because they want people to stay on the platform. So those goalposts, those vanity metrics are constantly changing, and they're smoke and mirrors. Hi, friends, and welcome back to the Cypress Room. We are here for another podcast.
We're back.
I'm Christina Mascari.
I'm Meggie Honeycutt.
And we are, gosh, I don't even know which one we're on.
I think this is
four, something like that. This is fun. Are you having fun so far?
I am.
I didn't, thinking back when we wanted to do this, it was over a year ago. And then in January, we're like, okay, we really need to make a plan to do this.
Right.
And now we're here today and we've recorded 4 episodes. It's kind of wild.
It is kind of wild. I didn't know. I mean, I don't know why I doubted that we could be able to talk for an hour on a subject, but
we have done it.
We have done it.
And it's been fun.
I think so.
It's been fun. So we are just really excited that you guys are here, that you're coming back. And we're going to keep coming back as long as you're here. So thank you for making this possible. Thanks for watching. If you are listening to this through your favorite podcast, whatever that is on your phone, we really do want to encourage you to come over to YouTube because you can see our faces and you can feel like you're part of the conversation. You get to be in my house. You literally get to be in the Cypress Room with us. Yeah. So if you haven't watched on YouTube yet, we really encourage you to do that and subscribe so that you will get notified anytime a new episode goes live.
Right.
And it's the best place, I think, to share who you are, what you want to hear about, what's going on with you. It's going to be the best way for us to interact with you in the comments. So
yes, leave a comment. Let us know what you want to know. Ask questions. Yeah. We definitely want this to be a community and not just us just talking.
We hope you feel like you know us more and more every episode, and we want to know you guys. So please show up in the comments. Let us know who you are. If you have questions, we might start doing some questions, like listener questions during the podcast. So
that'd be fun.
That'll be fun.
All the things you want to know.
All the things. So how's your day going?
My day's going pretty good.
It's a little rough for me starting off the day. And I wore this hat in honor of what we're talking today. I have my F45 hat on.
Yeah.
Meggie and I both have been working out at F45 since 2020, right?
Yeah. 3 years.
3 years.
That's kind of crazy.
And today's workout was so hard, you guys. I thought I was going to pass out and throw up.
And it's getting hot here, which I feel like makes it all worse.
My heart rate was at 160, 170 the whole workout. Where was yours at?
I don't even know. It was at, I feel like I'm going to throw up. That's where it was at this morning.
But you made it. You didn't throw up. I did.
I persevered.
Did anybody in the class throw up today?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Me neither, but we were all dead.
Yeah.
And it was actually really fun because we had old school crew in there, people that opened the one over in Cool Springs where we all started out together.
Fun.
So it was fun. And we had Taylor coaching. So it was really fun. So I think we'll talk a little bit more about F45 today.
Yes.
Because of where the conversation is.
My favorite places.
And Meggie picked this topic. So I'm going to kind of let you share with everybody why you thought this was so important.
Well, what I wanted to talk about today is consistency. Because I think that it is an underrated quality. I think it can be a superpower, especially in the content creation industry. But not only that, just in a lot of areas of your life, consistency is so important. And, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk through today.
Okay.
And I want later on to have you share kind of how it's benefited you in your business. And I feel like there was a moment where you decided to commit to consistency and you really saw results from that. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But really, I want to talk about consistency as a discipline.
I don't like that word, Maggie.
I know. But okay, let's talk about consistency versus motivation. Like we say, oh, I don't feel motivated. Like motivation comes and goes.
True.
Consistency is a discipline. It's a
choice. Yeah.
For sure.
And that's why I don't like it. But discipline is good for you.
It is.
Like, I know my kids hate being disciplined, but when I am disciplining them for something they didn't do around the house, they learn like, oh, I need to do that job, or mom is going to put more work on me, or she's going to take away something that I really love and enjoy. So if I just condition myself every day to get up and pick up my room, then that becomes a habit, I guess is what you're saying. And like the discipline never feels good.
No,
but then
it
just
doesn't.
becomes second nature, and you're not like, oh, I have to clean my room. You just get up and you just do it. We're not there yet. But
no. But let's talk. I mean, if we're talking about in other areas of my life where I've made that choice to be consistent in an area, like for working out, for instance, I think it starts out as a discipline. And then once you've done the discipline long enough, it becomes a habit, and then it's a desire. Like my sister told me that once, and it was in reference to like reading Bible, reading my Bible, that you do things and it starts out as a discipline, but then it turns into a desire. Like you want to do it. You miss when you don't do it,
right?
Which is true. That's how I feel about working out.
Yes.
And about reading my Bible, about brushing my teeth, like all the things that maybe aren't so fun.
Skincare is a huge one for me.
Yes.
Because I used to not take care of my skin. And it was you that like really encouraged me to like look into serums and stuff like that. And if y'all have not been following me for a while, I had a season right when we moved to Tennessee where I had the craziest, nastiest hormonal acne. And it was very depressing, and it was very hard. It was very hard to show up on stories. But I did. I don't know why, but just because it was where I was at. And if I didn't get on camera, just because I had a breakout, I would have never been on camera. But you like really helped with like, are you wearing sunscreen every day? I'm like, no, I only wear sunscreen when I'm like at the pool. And you're like, well, that is all that hyperpigmentation from your acne. It's making your acne look worse because you have a breakout, it heals, but then you still have that spot there. And you're like, if you're using vitamin C, that's going to help that's going to help that pigmentation go away. If you're using, like a face wash, like every other day with an acid in it, it's going to help your skin turn over faster. And I was like, okay. And I think you probably encouraged me to take supplements because I wasn't taking supplements. And so through like all those things that you told me, doing it every day, washing your face before you go to bed, no matter what, even if I didn't wear makeup that day, and the consistency of taking a supplement every morning, finding a supplement that worked for me, that I liked, that I could take without food, that I just put right by my sink. My skin is like healed now. And it
looks great.
Thank you. I still have a little zit here and there, but it was nothing like that. And I almost went on Accutane, you guys.
You were considering it. I forgot about
that's
that.
like a whole nother story that we'll save for another podcast, but it was the consistency of taking care of my skin. I still need to be better at drinking water. That's something I need to put on the list of being consistent in. I think that would make me feel a lot better. It would make my skin a lot better, but those disciplines of doing the washing, doing the serums, and doing the supplements every day have really helped heal my skin.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes with my theory of the consistency over the long term, instead of bursts of intensity, are going to give you results that are sustainable.
Yeah.
Not just in our personal health care and, working out, things like that, but I think for business too.
Yeah.
And what I tell people that I work with when we're talking about consistency is it doesn't matter if you are doing it every single day, or if you say, well, I can only do it 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Or, show up in stories twice a week. Make that goal for yourself and resolve that you're going to show up X amount of times.
Yeah. Especially in the beginning.
Yes. You're going to film and post X amount of times a month and stick to it and be consistent over a length of time. Yeah. If you want to gain traction, if you're only going to do these short bursts of work, post a bunch of stuff, and then disappear. Nothing for a while, it's going to be really hard, number one, to build community, but to really get the results that you want in the long term. So I know that you had the moment where you decided to be consistent.
Yeah.
And it was someone at Haven who kind of confronted you.
It really was because...
So tell us.
Okay, so I'm at Haven, which is a DIY conference, which I think our next episode we're going to devote strictly to Haven to tell you like what it's about, to tell you my Haven story, because I think it's really cool. Get your perspective as like a first timer there. And now you've been 2 times. Now we're going back 3 times. We even have like so many tips for you guys on what food to bring and how to like stack your room.
Yep.
How to have the supplements, how to not... get sick, because everybody got sick last year and we did not.
I did not. I did not.
I feel like we have some good tips for you on that. So stay tuned for that. But that is a DIY conference that I went to in person in 2019 for the first time before I was a full-time content creator. And just went there because I was kind of feeling it out. I had some success on a couple of videos, but I was not posting consistently. I was I would post like 3 or 4 videos and then I would just ghost for a few months.
Well, it was still sort of a hobby at that point.
It was definitely a hobby, and I was taking care of my kids full time, and I still had one that was at home with me all the time. And we moved to Tennessee like in the middle of the summer, and in the summer it's really hard to get my work done.
Yeah, it is.
And summer is coming and I'm really excited about it and to have my kids home, but it is virtually impossible to work with them home, and I don't want to put them in camps all summer because they only have so many summers with me. So we're gearing up for that, but at that time, so probably I hadn't done anything before I went to Haven, but I was kind of thinking about like, man, I have these 2 videos that are like, I'm earning $1,000 a month on. What if I just started making videos all the time? So I went to Haven to kind of check it out and get tips on how to, I'd started kind of pitching people at that point, and I had done a couple of partnerships, but I didn't know how to negotiate. I didn't know what I could be charging. And so I kind of wanted to go to Haven to be around people that knew what they were doing. There were going to be brands there. There was going to be, I know Home Depot was there and Ryobi, and that is how you say it. It's not Ryobi, it's Ryobi. I work with them. It is Ryobi.
We learned the hard way.
And Wagner and Frog Tape and Bear. I was like, oh my gosh. So I made it a goal when I went there. I'm like, I know I'm terrified, but I'm going to talk to every single one of these people. And I did, and tried to pitch myself. And was like, I'd love to make a video. And I kept showing everybody this video that's like, this video has, I don't know what it had at that time, maybe 500,000 views. I'm like, this has 500,000. And they're like, oh, wow. And so they would give me their card. And after Haven, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this full time. Like made all the plans to get my last kid in daycare and everything, and was like starting to sit down. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go after these brand partnerships. I'm going to follow up with all these people that I got their cards. And I followed up with one brand. And they were like, yeah, we love your stuff. Like, but why are you... like your posting is really inconsistent. Like can you write us back? We'd love to partner with you, but can you write us back in 6 months when you can show us that you have consistent content? And I was just kind of like, oh, ouch. It hurt. I was like, oh, I thought I impressed her. And like, I would love to work with this product. And this is a big brand. And she was just like, yeah, we love you, but what's going on with your channel?
Yeah.
Like, are you committed to it or not? And instead of being like, well, how dare she, and I was like, okay, like, I'm probably going to have to, that's probably what everybody's going to say. Like I had made all these connections at Haven. I'm like, this is probably what everybody's going to say. So I have to just start making content, and I have to like set a date and I've made the goal to put out 1 video a week. And
you did straight out the gate, one video a week.
I did, which is crazy because what I do, it takes a long time, especially flipping furniture. But at that time I wasn't strictly focusing on furniture because I was still trying to figure out what my channel should be. Because I had done a bunch of stuff on my channel. It was mostly furniture, but I had done this banister makeover that had gone viral. It was like taking a honey oak banister with that really orange oak.
Yeah.
And I painted the base of it, and then I stained the top really dark without having to sand it. Like I used a primer that you could adhere right to it without stripping it, and then painted it white over that. Used like a Sherwin-Williams enamel that was really durable. And then I used like a gel stain on the top that you didn't have to sand it back. And it looked really good.
It did look good.
And that, like, people still watch that video, and that video gets tons of affiliate sales because I didn't know what I was doing, and I just did it, and it worked. And people are like, oh, I can do
Yeah, I can do that too.
So I thought, oh, maybe I need to do more of that DIY stuff. And like at that time, people were really doing like a lot of shopping hauls.
Yeah, I
remember. And reviewing
reviewing
a lot of items on Amazon. So I tried to like review some items on Amazon. I tried to do vlogs were really popular back then. Like, this is my day and this is what I'm doing. So I tried to do some of those and they just didn't like take off. So those made it a little easier to do one a week. And there were some weeks where I just didn't get it done. Like my furniture piece fought me and I just didn't get it done. But I mean, that first from when I started in fall, August until February, maybe I took Christmas off, but I think I had a video once a week. Because I was like, this is my goal because this brand told me if I do this and I come back to them, they'll pay me.
Well, so and that was really just like
to help.
Supernatural timing too, because those were the months leading up to 2020.
Yeah.
Right.
But I did and everybody keeps bringing this up to me. Well, I always give COVID credit for giving my channel a boost. But right before COVID started in February, I had 2 videos that did really well. One was like comparing a high-end furniture brand to the one that they sell at Walmart. And that just went like crazy. And there was one other one and it was that ugly. Okay.
Wait, you're saying your own project's ugly?
This is fun. No, it was ugly to start with.
Oh, okay.
So my dad brought me this dresser and it had been in my garage for 6 months because I had to peel all the veneer off, which I did a video on. I was like, here's how you remove veneer. And I think later on that did well in search, but I hadn't redone that piece yet. And it was in February and that was a sponsored video. I had a paint brand that was like, we'll sign on for this and you can just do a flip, just use all of our products in it. And I'm like, okay. And nobody would take, the reason I ended up with that piece of furniture is because my dad had a friend that was trying to get rid of it and like Salvation Army wouldn't take it, like Goodwill wouldn't take it, like nobody would take it.
Yeah.
If this is not a story for the parallel of like life, nobody, not even thrift stores wanted this piece of furniture. And I made that over, and that video is one of my most successful videos that has over 1 million. And for some reason, it just connected with people. And it was one of my really, really long ones. So I think that was the first time where I was like, wow, people want to know every single step that I did. And I think there was a part where I messed up and I had to put like a primer on there. I'm like, this is bleeding through. Like, this is how you fix this. And I showed I thought I was going to paint it this color, but now I think I want to paint it this color. And I invited them into that whole process of and there were lots of ups and downs.
I think
there were lots of ups and downs and I messed up, but I just kept moving forward and fixed it. And that was really successful. And so those 2 videos were in February. And it wasn't till, like the 3rd week of March that COVID hit. Yeah. But I had those 2 successful ones. I'd had the 2 successful ones a year before that really resonated with people. So that was just like the bump that I needed to take my channel to like a full-time channel.
Right.
And then once you hit full-time channel and you're making full-time money, it's a lot easier to be consistent. But there was a season where I was having to be consistent and I wasn't getting anything out of it.
Right. It's that initial time investment. I think we touched on a little bit in previous episodes is in the beginning, you have to be willing to invest the time and the effort without the return to get the return later.
Right.
So the brand that told you to wait at Haven, when did you reach back out? And did you?
In January, like right after.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Well, maybe she only told me I had to do 4 months then because I started in August. So maybe maybe I just reached out. Maybe maybe I reached out early. But in January, we ended up partnering on a video. And that video actually was really successful as well.
And I should note that is a partner that still to this day we partner with.
Still to this day.
I think that was just a really good start to the relationship that you showed her. Like, I'm committed. I'm going to come back. Yeah. So, that's really awesome. And can you say, would you be in the same place you are now if you hadn't have done that commitment to consistency
No, because there's no way, because once COVID hit and we were home, like I continued to make videos because of all of that, what had happened like in January and February. And if I hadn't had that bump, I probably would have given up because that was a hard season. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I had 3 kids at home. Really, my husband was trying to work from home. Like he like his salary got cut. I mean, so it was like, and everybody was freaking out because we didn't know what was going on. So if I wouldn't have had that bump at the beginning of the year from that consistency, from that 4 months leading up, I probably would have just like quit, honestly, if I'm looking back at it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk too about when you made that choice, your goal was really consistency on YouTube. Did you make goals for the other platforms too, or did that come later? Because I feel like a lot of creators out there feel like they need to do it all at once, all in the beginning. And that's why they struggle with the consistency, because that is a lot, to do 3 platforms consistently straight out of the gate is a lot of work. It's a big commitment. And I think the risk of burnout is probably a lot more real. Yeah. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, because I had success in YouTube, the audience was showing me, okay, there's something we like about you, and YouTube was showing me there's something that we like about your content that we're going to keep pushing it out. So I was on Instagram sharing stills. At that point, there wasn't any short form content on Instagram. So I was still showing up in stories, but I was still showing up there, but I knew personally that I was better at YouTube, and there was more potential to earn money in YouTube because I was earning money on my content. So I was mostly focused on creating really good content because I knew I could get paid for that if I got a lot of views. And the industry that I'm in specifically, I won't speak to DIY as a whole, but furniture painting as a niche is not like, there is not a lot of money out there to be had from brand partnerships. And a lot of the companies, a lot of the companies they're small brands that just run off of a website. They run off of independent shops, which I think is cool because people can have shops and have the paint in it, and it brings people to the shop. So I think they're supporting small business, but they don't sell at the big box stores. So they're not making as much as they could be if they were in those spaces. And, some of those spaces they can't get into because of the different contracts that like a Home Depot or Lowe's have. They have exclusive paints in there. So I don't even think they could get in there if they wanted to. I don't know. So there's just not a ton of money in the industry that I'm in. So I knew that creating the content and then doing affiliate sales on Amazon was probably my best bet to have an income. Yeah. And that's why I focused there. And it was fun. Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Well, I mean, that's part of it.
Yeah. I liked learning about editing and doing the editing on my computer. And, we mentioned Think Media a lot on here. Yeah. I owe my life.
Oh my gosh.
And my success in my business to Think Media and Sean Cannell. He was my mentor. I've never met him. If I met him in person, I would probably cry and freak out just like I did with Annie Sloan a couple weeks ago, which we'll eventually tell that story on here. But there's just that just taught me so much, and the potential of, YouTube and what you can really earn. And I was lucky in the fact that I know this is lucky that on some of my first videos before I was full-time, I had a lot of success on. So I could see the potential there. Yes. It wasn't someone just telling me, okay, if you do this, you can make all this money. I was seeing wow, this video has 1 million views and I've made $10,000 off of it. What if I had 10 videos like that? Yeah. I don't have 10 videos like that. And I'm in a season now where I'm not getting a ton of views on my videos, but it's okay because I know that the potential is still there. I might just be one video away. So I am still focused on just creating content, but still having fun doing it. Yeah. And finding that balance because I know the potential is there to earn income off of it.
Right.
So
to change gears a little bit, when we're talking about consistency, you talked about having that goal of posting a video a week. And, when we're goal setting for our business, I think it's important to make it realistic and sustainable. Yeah. Wouldn't you think? And to also think about what in the larger picture, what is your goal? If you are doing this as a side hustle, is your goal to earn a full-time income? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is yes to that, then we need to evaluate where your goals are, where you're spending your time, where you're showing up. Because if we're talking about Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah. Well, and this is a good point because as you're sitting here talking about this, I'm trying to be realistic and take myself back to that mind. It's easy for me to sit here now and be like, yes, I had all these goals and I'm so smart at business. I'm really not. Because as you're sitting here saying this, I'm like, what were my goals besides getting that brand deal that was kind of hanging by a carrot, like follow back in 4 months? It was also like, I wanted to get a silver play button.
Yeah.
I wanted to get 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, because back then in 2019, 2020, that was a huge deal. It was before short form content.
Right.
So it was very hard to get subscribers. It was hard to get people, like in every video, it'd be like, please subscribe and blah, blah, blah. And it was such it was like a vanity thing to get 100,000 followers. I remember getting it. I remember like crying and being like, I can't believe I'm here, because I had been watching YouTube as a viewer. Like I had been watching Jaclyn Hill. I had been watching Tati and Jeffree Star, and those are all makeup beauty influencers back in the heyday. If you guys ever, but that's what made me fall in love with YouTube. Like I already made YouTube videos, but those types of videos are what made me fall in love with YouTube. And so there was the status symbol for me behind that play button. But then I will tell you, once I got that play button, it was like, okay, now what do I do? So I think that's really good from what you're saying. Like what are your goals?
Yeah.
And what do you get when you get there? Because if your goals are just like, I want to reach this many, I want to get to 50,000 followers. I want to get to 100,000 followers. Like on Instagram, it used to be like, I want to get to 10,000 followers so I could get the swipe up. Well, now everybody can put links in their videos. And if you put links in your stories, Instagram won't show them to people because they want people to stay on the platform. So those goalposts, those vanity metrics are constantly changing, and they're smoke and mirrors, because at the end of the day, like I have a YouTube play button, but it's in my closet where I record my voiceovers. And it's just, it was really cool when I first got it. And like the kids in the neighborhood wanted to see it. Yeah. And I think the first time I went to a high school and spoke, they wanted to see it. But guess what? I just went to a high school and spoke. Nobody asked me about a play button because it's not a thing anymore.
Well, okay. So those things considered, then I think when you are wanting to be a part of this industry, you do need, when you're setting goals, evaluate like your why. Like that's such a cliche phrase, but like, why are you really doing it? Do you just happen to be doing something you love already and you just are putting video to it and recording yourself? Or are you figuring out what can I do to make it as an influencer? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like there's a differentiation
and I think there's
there.
A balance, because I am lucky in that I've always done what is fun for me and what I've liked. And I wanted to encourage other people. Like the very core of what my business is I take things that people say are not worth anything, that should be thrown away, and I make them look beautiful, and I renew them and I redeem them, and then someone else like takes them and enjoys them in their home. And that has always been my goal. It's never been to make money. I have had some goals be like, I want to get this many views, blah, blah, blah. But I've learned once I get there, even once you get that big paycheck, like I want to get a deal over $5,000. Like once you get that deal, it's like, what's next? If your next goal is get a $10,000 deal, once you get that $10,000 deal, what's next? I want a $15,000. Like I have learned in the past year, that you don't get fulfillment out of that. Like it's very fleeting. It lasts for a couple of weeks. And money is great because we need money to live. But we talked about our stories a little bit. We have lived off of one income for 10 years. So when I started doing this, the money that I make is, we get to go on a nice vacation this year. We get to put more money in the kids' college fund. Like I did buy myself a car. I bought myself a nice purse. But beyond that, we're investing the money. We don't need it to live off of. And I know that is not the case for everybody who's looking to get to content creation. So I have to remember that too, that my goals are probably different than and other people out there.
But I think that's important for every person to consider. Where am I at personally, financially? It's really like all encompassing, right? When you're taking and evaluating your business and where you want it to go and why you want it to go there. Those are the things you have to consider, but really you're never going to get to that end point if you don't commit to showing up, to taking the step, to putting out the content, to doing it on a regular basis. And and showing up.
And it's not
right?
easy.
It isn't
And
easy.
I think that a big reason why we wanted to start this podcast is to equip and encourage people that are like in this season of, I'm working this job, but I really love doing this. And like just showing them that if you want to make a living out of content creation, you can.
Absolutely.
I just want to be honest in that I've never had the pressure of like, I have to make this work or I'm going to lose my house or I'm not going to be able to feed my kids. Like it's just never been that way for me. So I just want to be honest to people. And I know that is a place of privilege. Like I recognize that. And so for me, like the money and all of that could never be my motivation for why I make content, because it would fizzle out because it's not something that I like necessarily need to like survive. So it's just, I think my business is a little touchy-feely and I feel silly sometimes telling people that, but I just do want to encourage people that you don't have to sit in that cube and be bored. Like you might have to sit in that cube and be bored for a while and make content at the same time, but there is going to be a point where, and it's not going to be easy to make that switch. It's not going to be easy to be like, okay, I'm going to put everything on the line and do this. And I had to do that a little bit by putting my son in daycare and putting that money towards him, like his childcare that I didn't know if I was going to get back ever. But we took a gamble on that and it worked out for us. So I know.
Yeah.
I'm going in a little bit of a different way.
I think another thing that is important is to surround yourself with people who, first of all, can encourage you on the journey, but walk alongside you. Like if you want to be consistent, hang out with people who are consistent. Like if you want to, get better at something, get with somebody who does it better than you.
Right.
Like I think that's part of it too. Like who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are you talking to? Who are you getting feedback from? Like, do you have a teachable spirit? Like, are you willing to grow? Like,
I'm still working on that teachable spirit. I know I need one though, for sure.
I know, to realize that like, we don't know it all. We can't do it all. Like, and not be afraid to ask questions. And I don't know. I think
not be afraid to fail.
Yes,
I have
absolutely.
failed so much. I know I need to get better at this. I keep touting like, oh, this video that made $10,000. Y'all, I have videos that have made $50 because they're really terrible and only 5,000 people watch them. And you have to, to create content, you have to get your worth from somewhere else than your views and the amount of money you're making, or you will burn out. And I've been doing this 3 years. I still don't know everything, but I do know that I've had seasons of like when my worth is attached to the paid partnerships and the dollar amount I'm getting and the number of views my content is getting, I'm not joyful. I'm stressed out. I'm depressed. I want to quit.
Yeah.
But
I think that's a heart posture, right? That you kind of have to come to the table with, is like that humility is like, I'm not always going to get it right.
Right.
Not everything I put out is going to hit it.
Right.
And that's okay. And not being afraid to fail, I think is so important. And, when you're being consistent, those things are going to happen for sure. And that's where perseverance comes in and causes you to just keep plugging away.
Yeah.
Even if it was 2 steps back, 1 step forward kind of thing. So, yeah.
You too. It's a wild ride.
It is a wild ride, and it requires a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
I would say entrepreneurship in general, right? You need to be flexible. You need to be humble, teachable, willing to, when you're getting pressed, the crushing and the pressing. Yeah. To keep going, especially if it feels like something that you've been called to. Right. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And I know like a lot of people that I meet now, specifically at these DIY conferences and that message me and that follow me on my business subscriber thing on Instagram, they're really focused on YouTube and TikTok and, they've found their lane there and that's where they're really successful and that's where they're seeing the views and stuff. So I understand why they put so much energy into that, because for me, it was always YouTube first and then my Instagram and my TikTok took off. And so I really cater everything to that YouTube. And then I just show up in those other places. And I know I'm not doing all the best practices in those areas, but I'm there. I'm there authentically, but I know I'm not doing all the things that could push that following to the next level. And I'm always encouraging those people to try out YouTube. And a lot of them do start, but then they just like fizzle out because they don't see those results right away. Because with Instagram and TikTok, it's so easy to get results right away. I mean, I was on Instagram for 5 years. It took me like 5 years to get to 15,000 followers. And then short form content came out and I had some viral videos hit. Because I had, success in YouTube. I was like, I know people like my furniture flips, so I'm going to put short form content out. And then they went viral. So I had 2 back-to-back that got over 5 million views, and that boosted me to over 100,000 followers. And now I have 400,000 followers on there. And since I've done both, I can tell you that the people on YouTube are more invested in me and what I'm doing and make purchases more often than anything on TikTok. TikTok it's just not a committed audience. And I understand you see so many results. You see the people watching your stories. You see the people watching your reel and saving it and sharing it. And it's like, feels so good.
It's then more instant gratification.
It is. Then you go over to YouTube and it's like you put a video up and you get 500 views and you're like, Christina, I've been trying to get monetized on YouTube for a year and I've made this many videos and they just don't get views and they don't push them out. And I get it. But like Instagram is never, maybe they'll figure it out one day. And I'm not hating on Instagram, but I just hate seeing people put all that effort and being consistent and showing up on Instagram, and all they can really get out of it is maybe affiliate sales. Although I think it's really hard to get people to click away from Instagram to buy something.
I do too.
Or they can get paid partnerships, and then your whole business is in the hands of brands and what their budgets are and all that. And I don't know. It hurts my heart.
Yeah.
But I understand why people are like, Christina, I'm giving up on YouTube. It's just not for me. I understand, but that's why I'm always pushing YouTube because I just think it's more long-term sustainable. But we'll see. I don't know how much longer I can do it.
I know. But I think that kind of leads me into something I want to talk about in a future podcast. And that's about creating community.
Okay.
And what that looks like on different platforms and the ins and outs of that, because I think you make a good point in long form video that it can be much easier to create a connection than a quick 15-second reel.
Well, and if you're watching us on YouTube, I would love to hear in the comments, like if you watch YouTube regularly, what you love about YouTube. I'm still a huge YouTube consumer. I watch way more YouTube than Netflix, and I just enjoy watching podcasts is like my big thing right now. So that's probably why we're starting a podcast. I still love YouTube and I love watching it. So if you're a person who loves YouTube, please tell us why you like watching it. If you feel connected to the people that you watch, we want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let us know down in the comments.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, I think that's pretty much all I had. I'd love to hear what you guys think out there about being consistent and kind of how that has worked for you in your own business. Maybe this will motivate you to draw the line in the sand and be consistent and showing up on your platform of choice.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I guess just the one more thing that I want to add, because I've actually have talked to a person at Instagram before. This was like a couple of years ago, but they contacted me through the app and I was able to actually physically talk on the phone.
You gave them feedback?
Yeah.
I didn't know there were actual people out there.
There are actual people. And this was when they were launching Reels. So I think they really wanted feedback from people who were doing them and seeing success in them. So they kind of just asked me questions about Reels. And because at that time when Reels came out, everybody was like, you have to post 3 Reels a day. Because that's how TikTok was. And I was like saying to her,
that is a lot.
I said, this is never going to happen because I do one project a week. I'm probably going to post 1 reel a week. And she said, you know what? She was like, that's great. You know, what we just encourage is people to just be consistent, whether that's if you're going to post 1 a day, if you're going to post 3 a day or 1 a week, just be consistent in that. So I think it gives you freedom to set more realistic goals for yourself.
Yes.
Like, I think doing 1 YouTube video a week, if you're a furniture flipper and you have another job.
That's a lot.
Is a lot.
Yeah.
So it might be more realistic to do 2 a month or 1 a month, or maybe see if you can do 1 furniture flipping video a month, 1 video where you just talk about the tools and things that you've learned.
Yeah.
So just getting creative with it and not putting so much pressure on yourself to follow the norm and the standards out there, guys, because I've never followed the standards or norms. And God has blessed it. So just, take some time and think what you can really do.
On TikTok and Instagram too, consistent posting helps you evaluate what's working and what's not.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you're kind of all over the place there, you never really know like what's working for your community and what's not. But if you're saying, oh, I'm always going to post a reel on Monday, then you can go back after 4 or 6 weeks and say, is that a great time? How's that doing? You know, and then reevaluate like, oh, is there a better day, a better time? But you can't evaluate if you're not being consistent with it. So that's
a good point.
Thing that I always tell people I work
You're
with.
so wise.
You've got to have that consistency or we're never going to know where we need to get better or do something differently too. So
awesome. Well, I think you chose like a really great topic that I probably would have never chose. So thanks for bringing like all the wisdom, and I think this was fun. So do you want to send us out?
Yeah. Well, I hope this encouraged you all to figure out where in your life and business you can be consistent. I hope you'll give us lots of fun feedback and ask us questions in the comments, and we'll be back again soon. So set those notifications so you can be alerted every time we post a new podcast.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, see you next time.
In the Cypress Room. Bye, guys.